Hey guys, Mike here. So, hope everybody had a great Halloween. I know me and my friends and family did last night, so I'll have to share some pictures with you in Sunday's video maybe. But obviously today we're going to answer all your questions. Yesterday we did end up green for the day. Breath was a little better. You had your eco waste, the Dow Jones Transportation up, which we'll talk about today since that was one of the questions. And so we're getting to a bunch of stocks, and especially some of the higher flyers or high flying stocks you guys asked about. But I will say this, I'm going to start off talking about theme stocks. And you know this channel, we don't do drama, we don't pick fights, nobody, nothing like that. This is strictly educational. This person meant this to be his education, so and was brave enough to keep putting it out there, so we're going to show it, okay? And so I told you about theme stocks. We covered them for weeks on Saturday videos, and I did members videos on them. And like I said, they're great when they're going up, but when they break those trend lines and those moving averages, it's going to be some really fast drops, okay? And that's what a lot of people are seeing. I'm getting all kinds of questions about them. And so, I'm going to show you an example. When I say theme stock, they're great, but eventually there's going to be many of them that do not work out. Some will work out, okay? But a lot of them won't. They're this is what Dan Niles was talking about when he said, it's great going up the mountain, but on the other side of the mountain, it's going to be horrendous, okay, for a lot of companies in 2026. That's what's going to happen. And a lot of people are going to ride them all the way down, okay? And so I want to start off with that just so you can literally see this. And the person I'm going to show you, his name was, and one of you guys in the comments finally told me his name. I didn't know what it was. Dead Inside, I guess. You guys may recognize that name. But this is the perfect example of a theme stock that was really hot. There's a lot of theme stocks going on back in 2021. And this is what it looks like to ride it all the way down. Okay, to ride it up and to ride it down. Now understand, this person is very successful, very smart, and this money he loses is not his money really. It is, but it's not, because I can tell you right now, when I look through about this guy, he's a very successful YouTuber, had a membership. He's making buku dollars back in those days. I don't think he's around anymore on YouTube, but so again, that's why he's so calm losing his money, because he's already a multimillionaire before he got on YouTube. So I think he's doing just fine. But he was into a space stock, right? It's called Astra. You might remember it. It was a SPAC. It came public for $10 what it was, but again, it probably IPO'd higher the day because they usually run up and stuff. But just watch these three clips. These are like in order from like when he's invested to a year later to like 2 years later, and I'll tell you what eventually happened.
Watching live the rocket launch in hopes of seeing the share price rise.
Kaylee, does that look good to you?
That looks like a successful deluge test.
I'm pretending that the rocket won't do well. Stock's going up though. Going up because it looks like the rocket is going to be launched today. 30,000 people watching. Oh, the intensity is big.
Red lead. Red lead is go.
I have my money on gravity. This would be a good time to sell.
5, 4, 1. Mission 0. Abort. Back in idle.
Looks like an abort was called at T0.
Again, abort called right near T0. Teams are currently working through their abort.
You remember when Astra was $19 a share? What about $13 a share, $15 a share? Well, now it's $2.14 a share. I made a promise with you guys. I don't want to sell this until 2025, minimum. Unless something drastically happens in a negative way with the company and I lose hope, I don't want to sell this. This is not financial advice, obviously. Year to date, down $395,000.
And what eventually happened was it got worse because the company went private and they paid all the shareholders 50 cents on the dollar. So, it got worse. But that's one of those things where it's supposed to be a big thing. I remember all those space stocks back then. You're like, woo! Same way with the Oklos. I showed you. Well, actually, I'm sorry, it was a private members video I did that in. But I showed you throughout the Saturdays, most of these were SPAC stocks, SPAC, which came public at $10. But those, like the nuclear stocks, stuff like that, they didn't get to do the ride up. They just crashed. And so now they're getting the delayed run up. And again, some of them will be successful. Some of them will get their licenses. Some of them will get their products approved. All that fun stuff. Okay, it doesn't mean they can't continue to run and run and run. I showed you Enphase, and I put Oklo right beside it. Enphase ran for like 3 years. Oklo's only been around 1. Okay, and you see Enphase that other side of the mountain, where it just reported earnings this week, I think, went down even more. And so it just keeps punishing shareholders over and over. And some of them come back, some of them don't. That's just the way it is. Okay, so hopefully you get some out of that. Again, it's totally educational. It's not picking on anybody. Like I said, that guy's super successful, so you're gonna be just fine. Okay, and so just to put that out there. Now, let's get into the first question here. It says, Mike, if a company buys back shares, are they required to retire them, or can they hold them and resell them if they need cash at a later date? The answer is no, they're not required to retire them at all. And what they do is, which I actually learned this term, and I didn't know this term, it can choose to retire them or hold them as treasury stock. Let me know if you'd heard that term before. I never looked it up, so that's an interesting one. And so basically what it is, just like you said, they can use them as employee compensation, or they can reissue them in the future. Okay, Apple is the king of this. And so it makes sense to me. I would definitely put it in treasury stock because you never know when you're going to need it. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. We all learned a little something. Next one here says, will transports and housing start to participate in the rally? Well, transports are definitely trying. You can see them trying to break out of this year-long trend line right here. It's been rejected multiple times. Getting a lot of transport stocks reporting earnings right now. You can see usually when it flags like this, it'll break out, but this ain't like a regular stock. I mean, this is transports. So some are going to do really well, and some are not. And you see that in UPS, trying to break out after being basically a dog this whole time. But you got like stocks like this. A lot of people don't know these are transports, like Uber. Uber's done great. The railroads I don't follow. Let me know how they're doing. FedEx is doing better than UPS. The airlines have been doing kick butt and taking names. So as far as you're talking about those kind of transports, yes. Lyft, I think it's getting ready to break out if it hadn't already again. So yes. As far as housing, this is the one I'm probably the worst at when it comes to housing, because especially where we're at now, you can see right now it's basically just wedging, right? If you look at this on lower high on a weekly time frame, that's not good. But when you look overall, it depends on how these are going to report, because again, the rates are coming down. So is that going to stir up some, purchasing? It should, you would think. But the biggest problem you have is where the freaking prices are at. We've never seen anything like this before. We've never been in a housing market that is just this broken, to where starter homes are, like 40, 50, 60% higher than they've ever been, probably, again, in my lifetime, that is for sure. And so, again, every area is going to be different. Some areas are going to pick up. And the stocks have been, some of the stocks have been doing really well. So, and some have not. You get your Rocket Company, for example, which reports earnings this week, I think. I don't think they reported yet. But they do, mortgages, refinances, that kind of stuff. They're doing like garbage right now. And you get other stocks have been doing really well. So it's, I don't know. Again, the housing market's a mess. I've always said this, one of the hardest sectors for me to even make heads or tails of right now, because everybody thought when they started dropping rates, like this right here, then it would really boost the housing market, but I hadn't really seen that yet. So now next one says, which video explains the anchored VWAP? It's called VWAP with a V, as in violet. I don't have a public video on this. I literally just did a members video on Thursday, I believe it was. It says use this magic line on your chart. It really is amazing. And again, if you know TradingView, I don't know where to get it at. I use it on TradingView. So, play around with it. It really, really comes in handy. You'd be shocked. Okay. And really go back to older companies and put it on their IPO price and watch how many times it comes in handy. Okay. Now, next says, can you review SHOP and CLS? I sure can, Debbie. Now, SHOP just hit a new all-time high. It's unbelievable. Look at this. It's been years. It finally did it. So it finally pulled off what, I think Uber and Robinhood and SoFi and all these others finally have been doing. And so that, and of course it always does this, right? We wick above this, all of them did it. We wick above this old all-time high and we come back down some. That's normal. It's sitting right at the top of that channel. It also has, I'm pretty sure, earnings coming up. And so again, a lot of these stocks you're going to ask about has earnings coming up this week or the next week. I can't predict that. Okay. I cannot predict how they're going to be on earnings. But with this one, you can clearly see, we'll just draw the fibs up here, the next level up. It's going to be around 202.48. Above that, it's like 210, 212. But it's all going to depend on earnings. And if they're bad, it's going to drop right back down that channel. And the reason why I say I can't predict it, because I guarantee if you ask Meta shareholders, would they think their stock holders going to be down that much today? Nope. Probably if you ask them Amazon folks, they probably say, whew, wasn't expecting to go to 252 like that. Absolutely. And then we'll get another stock that dropped 50% on earnings. 50. Can you imagine waking up, seeing one of these stocks you own down 50% in one day on an earnings call. I mean, so that's why it's going to be tough. And a lot of these stocks you ask about are all having earnings over the next 2 weeks. Now, CLS, as soon as I saw this chart, and somehow I knew I looked at this chart before, and I saw it was up 3,363% since May 2023, I knew it was going to check 3 boxes. 1, it was going to be a lower float stock, check. 2, it was going to be a theme stock, check. It was also going to be a theme stock that actually started having some good news, whether it was going to be some kind of contracts or earnings growth from AI in particular. And that's exactly what happened. So congratulations on this one. Booming AI infrastructure demand is a tailwind for Celestica. They designed storage, compute, and networking solutions for cloud data centers. And booming demand for AI infrastructure is helping to push up revenue. And they did a really good job pushing up revenue. The revenue soared 28% year over year in the third quarter, easily beating analyst expectations. Adjusted earnings per share also exceeded analyst estimates, growing by 52%. For 2025, revenue is now expected to be around $12.2 billion with EPS of $5.90. Wow, that is a big increase. For 2026, revenue should rise to $16 billion. So this is one of those theme stocks so far that's winning. It is going up a lot. I mean, it's so stretched on the fib at this point in time. You can see the next level up starts with a 4 there, but it's going to be around like 409 if I'm not mistaken. And so that's a nice little pop back up. And with this one, you can see the moving averages all slanted upwards. Hadn't touched any of them since May of this year, but it's not just straight up, right? It comes up, consolidates, comes up, consolidates. It just keeps having these big moves on earnings is what's happening. So it is kicking butt, taking names right there. When we pull up the moving averages, you can see, and this will be another one of those ones, I'll put a trend line on it for you. When the trend line breaks, you'll get a really nice discount to buy at, okay? Until then, you ride that trend up. The trend is your friend on this thing. Again, if the market turns down at some point in time, which people are kind of like iffy about because of breadth and everything else, then this one will not be immune to that most likely. So just kind of keep that in mind. And we put the trend line on here and some support levels. I mean, you can see that trend is beautiful right there. Just keeps bouncing off that trend line going back to April, I believe. And so, you know, next time it comes down, it'll probably bounce off of it, most likely. But if it doesn't and it breaks, then look for like 262.23 as support if it happens, you know, recently. But if it keeps running up, obviously that's going to change. But, you know, that's really the next level down if you get it. But as far as going up, that's up to you how you want to do it. And so, you know, let me know in the comments if that's what you guys are doing. Congratulations to all of you on that one. Now, next one says, hey, Mike, curious whether you believe MP follows the news more or just the price of neodymium or neodymium. I'm not sure which one it is, but I love the story, but fear it is too cyclical and correlated with the underlying commodity. I mean, they do rare earth, you know, minerals, which supposedly aren't all that rare, but still it's the only mine we have in America that I'm aware of. And with this one, I want you to look at how it used to trade, right? It will come up, consolidate, come up, consolidate. That's normal. And then we got this. This is when the government started getting invested in it. FOMO started happening. Oh my God, China's cutting back on us. What are we going to do? And so what's it doing? It's doing exactly what it used to do. And what's the drop here? 33, 35. What are we at now? Around 38. So that's actually a normal pattern for this stock right here. And yes, it is very sensitive to news, especially to China. And if America continues to make deals with other countries, it's harder to say it's going to help it or not. But this pullback was way over needed. But it's back into a range where it can consolidate. It's hitting its 100 moving average. It's at a nice discount right now. It did break that trend line, multiple gaps below. And as far as where it's going, you know, right here, the best thing that can happen is for it to consolidate, honestly. I wouldn't even mind it coming down to the golden pocket, maybe even filling one of those gaps would be nice. But what do you have? Like I said, you have earnings coming up. I don't know what they're going to say on earnings. I don't follow them on earnings. And so that could help push it down, help push it up, maybe just go sideways. And that's going to be this week coming up. Okay, but yes, it is very sensitive news. I don't know about it being correlated to the commodity so much, but we're going to hear about that on earnings. But I know a lot of people looking to DCA into this one because the government's in it as well. Now, next one comes from Byron. He says, Mike, been watching your channel for some time now, and you've been a huge help to me. Thank you. I appreciate that, Byron. If you're looking for a Saturday question, my largest contrarian position has been China for over a year now, specifically China Tech, BABA, and K-Web. It's been great. Do you have any opinions on where it goes from here? On this one, again, right now, it's just sitting in this triangle pattern wedge in the very bottom of it. It has earnings coming up in the next few weeks. That's going to decide this. If it drops, watch for 161 at support. That also lines up with the 50 moving average. You have all of this right here which has not been touched. That's just gaps in liquidities because of that huge move up. And when you do this kind of move up, a lot of times you either get a triangle pattern or a flag pattern. We'll try to consolidate. And so if we get bad earnings, look, or if it breaks that even before earnings, look for the 50 to hold. You can see right here, we're going back off the previous levels because we haven't been up here in quite a few years. You look at the RSI, the momentum on this thing. And again, November 1st, by the way, when we're supposed to be signing a trade deal officially. So if that happens, I don't see where that would hurt these stocks, you would think. Momentum, again, on the daily, needs to stay above the 50. MACD still needs to be up. Weekly, you're starting to flirt with that moving average, breaking down below. But right now, it looks okay. But it's not just this one. It's Baidu. It's all of them. Remember, Baidu ran up. All this stuff has not even been dealt with yet down below. 22% drop, pop, and it's actually to its 50 almost. And so that's a little different, right? And so, it's not just this one. JD's the same way. They're all under pressure right now. And again, all of them have earnings coming up. So we're going to see how it flows. But they just had such a massive run up that this should not be a surprise for this pullback, okay? Right now, and remember, China's still flooding their economy with liquidity. So again, it's all going to be on earnings. Now, next one here says, thoughts on RGTI. I've charted this in multiple Saturday videos along with these other stocks. Again, this is quantum computing. Fibs are magical, weekly fair value gaps are magical. And like I said, when these trend line and moving averages break, buddy, you're going to get a heck of a pullback. And that's exactly what has happened, okay? I'll take that moving average off. But again, it came down, mitigated both weekly fair value gaps to the penny, came down to 0.79 fib, not once but twice to the penny, and got a bounce right there. It's back above that 9 EMA, which is what it was trading on coming up. That's where I kind of put that trend line at. And so, quantum computing is probably the most speculative area there is out there. But when it runs, it runs. And what you're looking to see is this just a lower high? Is that what's happening here? Again, 41% drop in like 7 days. And so you got to have your diaper on when you own these kind of stocks, okay? Or vomit bag, whichever one you need. Because I know plenty of people they were panicking on these stocks for sure. I know some in person. So, you got to buckle up if you really want to be in these stocks. So we'll see if it's just a lower high forming or not. And again, it's going to be interesting because this is another one, right? November 10th earnings. What are they going to say? Because I'm not sure if this one has revenue or not. But looking at momentum real quick on the daily, if you can get above that moving average right there, you get this bullish MACD cross going. Then you're cooking with Crisco. And we know these can fly, right? They always got this news coming out where so-and-so may have invested in them, so-and-so didn't invest in them, all that fun stuff. The government's starting to put money towards it. So, that's another thing, the reason why these stocks are popping right now. Next one comes from Peter, and he says, hey, Mike, what are your thoughts on Upstart? It's down 45% since July, but has earnings next week and a new month to hopefully get some rotation. Thanks for pumping out great content every week. I appreciate that, Peter. Well, when you look at this one, the momentum is just jacked, right? I mean, good Lord, MACD is way down there. Look at it. If this line crosses on the weekly, which you don't want this to happen, that is not good. Like you said, a lot of this is going to depend on earnings. It's been beat down, which is honestly, if you're going into earnings, that's kind of what you want to see because this is a high flyer. It's a lower flow stock, highly shorted. You can see reports on Tuesday. And I'll tell you one thing to look at on this one in just a minute is the fact that it's been trailing down, but also look over there at that high over there, and then look to the right. So that is a lower high, and then it's just setting nothing but lower highs after that. So it's one of the few stocks that didn't come up and set a new all-time high after this April crazy rally right here. But it is in a major discount, setting its support right now, coming down in there. And you see those two trend lines. And again, this one, and it's going to fly. I don't think it's going to consolidate. This one usually really moves off earnings. And so you're fixing to start heading down to what is a gap and a weekly fair value gap below, which I'll mark out in just a minute. Or you're going to start breaking these trend lines and flying higher. And I'll show you the one thing about this one. See the lower high right there? And it just kept going down. So market structure looks like crap on this thing. But again, you can see it to the left. It'll like crap too. And then next thing you know, this thing rallies like crazy. But as I'll show you, there's the gap and the fair value gap. That's where it can go on earnings if the market doesn't like it. Right, between 40 and 41. This is about 15% drop. Or, because I know this has a big expected move, break above this trend line, and we're going to rock it up to that 58 area right there. And if we break that one, we're going to 65. Now, understand, these don't move alone. SoFi's held up probably better than any of them. But you see PayPal, reported earnings, gave back every cent and then some. XYZ is a mess. But when you look, here's FinX, right? The Global X FinTech ETF. What's it been doing? For months, just going sideways. That's what it's been doing. So you have your winners, and then most of them have just been doing nothing or going down. It's just been sideways. Now the question is this going to end up being just consolidation for the next move higher and it finally breaks out of this range and FinTech starts going because they usually move as a group? Or is this distribution, which means we're going to break lower and then FinTech is going to say see you later, right? And again, this could take a while, okay? But right now they're all moving down except for, SoFi's holding up best. A lot of them are not holding up very good at all. As you can see, a lot of people thought when rate cuts came through, it would start boosting them up, but it hasn't. And so just watch for these to start moving as a group again at some point in time. Watch for rotation, like you said. Now, next one says, Mike, any chance for you to discuss F5 or Saturday's video? I got exercise at 145. Also, can you share how you become so good at reading the charts? Thanks, and keep up the great work. And this is another stock to use as some kind of education here, right? One, when you get these long trend lines like this and you break them, this goes back to 1987. You see the flush? I mean, it definitely helps, okay? You don't want to break these trend lines. That trend line will be resistance coming back up, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But look at this. Imagine waking up and your stock's down 50% on earnings. I mean, that is amazing. That's something, I can't even remember the last stock that pulled that one, okay? Obviously, it must have had terrible earnings. It is what it is. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what this stock does. I'm looking at the chart, okay? So it's up to you to dictate what they do or whatever. But you can see where this trend line came in, right? The 87 crash, you got your 08 crash where it tagged it twice, and then we finally came back down, boom. Again, this is logarithmic because it goes back so far. If you want to see an ugly chart, you take this off logarithmic and you say, oh boy, this is what Dan Niles is talking about. That's the mountain up, that's the mountain down. And it is horrific on the other side of the mountain. Look at that. 73% down from the top. It used to be a $40 stock. Now 66. Oh boy, man. And I feel bad for people in this thing. I hope it comes back for you. Again, but when you look at this, what's crazy about it is pull up the moving averages on this thing. Look how far below the moving averages are. Just to be able to retest the 50. This stock, and again, the moving averages are going to move, of course. But this stock is currently down 90% from the moving average. So it's going to have to increase by 90% to retest that for now, even to get to this trend line right here. To try to retest the trend line, which will definitely be resistance unless some crazy news comes out about it. That's another, 54%? So yeah, I mean, it's brutal. And again, I wish I had some words of wisdom on that one, but that's just a mess. That's up to you how you want to handle it. I don't know what to tell you on that one. Now, as far as reading charts, I'm no master at reading charts, that's for sure. But it's just practice after practice after practice and just over and over and over doing it and seeing what works best for you, what indicators work best for you, and all that fun stuff. So there's no substitution for it. You just have to practice and practice. And that's what I do with TradingView. Just practice and practice and practice. And I put my errors on video. I don't mean to make them errors, but over the years, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. People over the years will point out, hey, are you doing that wrong? Are you doing this wrong? Oh, I go back and look. So, I was doing it, my fault. And I would correct it, or how maybe I was using the indicator the wrong way or however it was going. And so my process got sped up faster because I was having to go out in public with it. So be thankful you don't have to do that. Now, Lasner says, what are your thoughts on how TLT will react to the rate drop next year? Well, Andre, I covered this last Saturday, so I'm going to make this pretty quick. Over here, I got the Fed funds rate, 10-year yield, TLT, okay? What's been happening? They've been cutting rates, 10 years dropping, TLT has been going up recently. That's normal. What's not normal is what happened during the rate cut cycle in 2024 when they started cutting rates. As you can see right here, 10-year spikes and TLT drops. That's not what normally happens. Okay, you can go back to 08, you can go back to 2018, 19, 2020, and that was not normal. So that's really the bigger question, okay, is what is going to happen. What should happen, especially if employment continues to weaken, if that continues to happen, and then all of a sudden we go into next year and let's say the economy starts to drag down even more, TLT should be going up, 10-year yield should be going down, and then of course they're going to be cut. So now if they don't cut in December for whatever reason, because Jerome Powell's kind of floating that a little bit, then that's a different story. So I know a lot of people that are DCAing into TLT, and usually it's kind of like a hedge, right? So hey, why not? Normally it doesn't go crazy. This ain't like some NVIDIA is going to go up 200% or something like that. Even I think in 08, even one of the worst recessions ever, TLT spiked by 38%. 2020, I believe, or 2019 and 2020 was 55%, which is still good, right? And so, and that's what, if you're in TLT heavy and we hit a recession, that's when you're going to get your biggest move. Okay, so not that anybody's wishing for a recession, but still, if you're in it, that's when you get your biggest move. So hopefully that helps, guys. Appreciate all the questions. Feel free to put more down in the comments for next week. Tomorrow's video, obviously, we'll set up the week ahead. We got a boatload of earnings to go over. Not too much data, but it should be a very fun one. So please hit that like, subscribe button on your way out. Think about signing up for the membership, less than a McDonald's combo at $7.99. Just hit the first link down in the bottom of the description. That's everything you get with it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.